Chuck, welcome back, man.
Hey man, it's good to be back with you and your beautiful, tribe, your growth tribe. Yeah, man. I'm excited about it. It's good
Dude,
for the chat before the call as well.
yeah, we were chatting for a bit and I told you it's been 5 years since you've been on the show. Although you've been on more than anybody else, it's been 5 years, which is crazy because I've been doing it for 10. So you were forever present in the first 5 years, and then you ghosted in a great way. And we're gonna talk a lot about your growth over the last 5 years and what you've been into, man. But let's start with where is Chuck now, and then we'll break down where you've been over the last 5 years.
Chuck's in a great place right now. Yeah, I think, what's really neat about being in growth now, I've been thinking about this. You always ask the growth questions. I'll save that for the end. I'm just in a great place right now. I think when I was younger, I just had this need to share all my ideas and be the smartest guy. I think I'm kind of getting to that place in life where it's my eyes are really on all the other people that I'm trying to help and kids and grandkids and all the things. And so I don't know, it just makes you a more beautiful person and I like that. I'm still working, a lot, but I'm having fun. I'm building the things I want to build. So I come to the call with lots of joy inside of me today.
Yeah, dude. It's funny because you have been busier over the last 5 years than you were in the
Yeah.
previous 5 years that we knew each other, and just head down building
Yeah,
the next great
I
thing.
have.
And what has that been like? Because you are such a forward facing person because people love your energy, they love your enthusiasm, they love your cheerleading
Mhm.
skills. What was that? What has that been like over the last 5 years?
Yeah.
Head down and just building.
It's been hard, honestly. We should do a whole podcast on that one question. I think I think that I finally, I taught years ago in Terry's conference. I talked about margin. I did this thing called margin errors, and everyone really loved it. It was like, man, I'm driving up the margin in my life, and I was teaching people how to reduce down from 80 hours a week down to 20 hours a week, down to 10. Just saying, if you want to own something, it's going to require less than 10 hours a week from you. The goal is like multiple verticals, portfolio entrepreneurship. I was teaching all that stuff. Well, but one thing I didn't understand, really, I said it, but didn't understand it is when you launch something, you do have to throw your life out of balance a little bit. Gary Vee says, in the beginning of something, all you have is your hustle, right? You're operating on capital and you do all the things, you get all the relationships and you get all the things together. But you're going to get anything launched, it's going to take a lot of energy, so much energy. Only someone that's launched something like yourself. We just celebrated your 10 years. You know what it took. Man, my God, you were at like an extended runway, just like me and everyone else, flapping your wings. It's like a plane. It's like you only get so much runway, and then you're gonna hit fences and houses. And you're like, my God, I get this thing is so heavy. How do I get it off the ground? We're finally getting it off the ground. But the last 5 years, I've laid my life down. I've worked like I'm 20 years old again. Um, but I found the joy in it. I had to go through some mindset shifts to be like, wait a minute, I'm not the guy in the back of the garbage truck picking up, having sludge poured on me all day. I'm in climate controlled environments and I'm building things. I'm talking to people, great, amazing people, others wait in line to get selfies with. These are my friends. I mean, just like, how could I complain, right? So, yeah, it's been a good 5 years. But one thing I've learned is, no matter how old you get in life, we all think, oh, I'm going to hit that level where I can scale it back. Well, if you're building something, it's going to require you for a little while, and there's no way around it.
Yeah, it is. When you are beginning something, and I'm thinking back to 10 years ago when I started to try and build a business, right? Trying to piece together all the little things,
Mhm.
trying to do this podcast, making sure I'm showing up every week. You're so in the weeds. And how you kind of set
Yeah.
yourself up is the most important part. Like, how can you make sure you're not distracted? How can you make sure that the shiny objects aren't distracting you from doing it? Because it's exhausting, right? And so, how do you set yourself up to make sure over the last 5 years you kept your blinders on, didn't allow distraction, didn't, all those wonderful things? How were you able to do that for yourself?
Man, what a great setup. I mean, I want to talk about environment. I think that's all I said to you. I just love to talk about environment. You're such a pro podcaster. I appreciate that. I would say before I get into like the things that I'd really like to say to answer your question very directly and to not be pitchy towards my new company or anything. I think how did I do that? I think it actually goes just one step before the topic of environment. And like you, I think I've sent you my calendar at times, and it's my calendars actually are. I think calendars. I'm weird like that. I love looking at people's calendars and the time blocking and the colors. And I think I may at some point have a bunch of art in one of my rooms in my house that's like people's calendars, right? Because I think that if you're the master of taking your life and reducing it to a 1 year plan and creating weekly routines, daily routines, time boxing when you're going to be working on which ventures, and then set boundaries between on and off. And I'm going to talk in a second, and then surge in those time boxes and then drop the mic and go be with family. When I say I've been working hard, I still have the lines between on and off. I still have an amazing, extraordinary life outside of it. I have time for the things that matter. But yeah, that's how I've done it. I've done it. Thank God I built those earlier layers, because if I hadn't, I would have never been able to make it. So it's like I've learned how to work concentrated, focused, and I think that's the key. If I wasn't really good with productivity, I couldn't have done it.
Yeah, and dude, you've sent me your calendar a couple times. Like when I'm like, "Yo, you got 5 minutes?" and you'll send me your calendar, and there's literally zero time.
No break time.
And yeah, it's just unbelievable. But the thing is, like you said, you're the I'll say it because you didn't say it this way, but you're the most one of the most present people I've ever met. As far as taking the time out for what's important and who's important, and just being in the
Yeah.
moment. And I think a lot of people miss that.
Mhm.
Like you're building uSpace, which
Yeah.
we're going to get into later, but like you're building this
Yeah.
business that can be projected to be $1 billion business, and that's
Yes.
wild, right? But you're still able to
Yeah.
take time out to officiate my wedding 3 years ago, and to
Yeah.
come to my
Yeah.
events and be there and be present and focused in those conversations. How are you able to do that? Because building something so big is really tough.
Yeah. I think it comes back to, become cliche, I think, in the growth uh, community, in the entrepreneur personal development community. I think Brendan Burchard said it the best like years ago, but his big pitch is like, say no first, then qualify it. Hey man, you want to do my wedding? No. And then you get a text a couple days later. Okay, I'll do it. I'm not saying that I did that for you, but it's like you really have to say no. Like each yes is paid for with 100 no's or 1,000 no's. Like that, whoever said that is like, that's one of the greatest things I ever heard in my life. It's so true, isn't it? And it's like, for me, here's the problem I have. I'm so close to my wife and kids, and now my grandkids. I pretty much in my personal life only make time for them. So, like, it's hard for me to actually have friendships because I'm a legacy guy. I'm already building wealth for my grandkids' kids. Like, and I sit down and talk to them about that. We're talking about building foundations for each one of them. You're not just going to get lump sums of money. You're gonna get a salary for making some kind of difference in the world. And we're creating that strategy, and I'm educating them on that. And so it's like I need proximity to them, right? Somebody said you're never going to change the world through an audience like you will through your own family, because they have access to like backstage to every single part of you, and they're catching your values. And so, yeah, I think, I think it's the key is like, well, somebody said, um, you got to know what you're going to say no to so that you can, and know what you're going to say yes to, even in spending, right? Somebody goes, like, you've heard that before. It's like, I'm not just going to buy everything that my eyes see. There's certain things I'm going to tell myself, yeah, I'm not going to buy any of that. I don't need that. But I'm going to save money for these things that I really want to buy, or this lifestyle that I really want to live. So I can't afford that lifestyle. Well, you probably can if you just say no to a bunch more. So you look at it from a money spending standpoint, but also in a time value standpoint, right? So my life is very rich, but I also have lots of sadness because I can't be with some people that I want to be with, right? You know that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's about like, what are your true values? And I think a lot of people don't even know
Yeah.
how to define their values. They don't even know what
Hmm.
that even means. And so when you're talking legacy, like I actually just had a conversation yesterday, and I was talking with somebody. I asked that question, which you're going to get later, is like, what's your definition of success? And, he talked about it used to be money. And I realized that in life, especially as men, in your 20s, it's money. In your 30s, it's relationships. In your 40s and beyond, it's legacy, right? You start to think about other people more than you're
Hmm.
thinking about yourself. And,
You do,
now that
yeah.
you're in that phase of your life, what is that like being able to go, okay, now I can focus on legacy. And I have to say no, even if it makes me sad. Like that's got to be difficult for you.
Yeah. Man, I had this guy, Kent Henry, one time told me, he said, I was in my 30s, and he said, you're at the age right now. He said, you're actually ahead of the learning curve. You're already thinking about legacy. You talk about it, you're thinking about it. And he commended me for it. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, like, okay, cool. But man, do I understand it now. The best way I explain it is I had this friend, Jimmy Floyd. I talked about him in my book. Jimmy Floyd was the home run hitter on our softball team, right? Everyone would cheer when he'd get up to bat. He was incredible. And one year he said, I'm not playing this year. And I'm like, come on, man, we're not, how can we win the championship without you? He said, my kids are starting to play sports now. I'm making myself completely available to them. I mean, I get tears in my eyes when I kind of think about it because I learned something from him. I was like, he's so good. He could live the rest of his life getting those cheers because he's so skilled. He just said, I get a bigger thrill out of watching my kids now. Like I got goosebumps on my legs thinking about this. Yeah, it's big, man. And I would say what a great segue for the idea of like environment, because life, nobody says life is short when they're young. A person that says life is short, it's one of those things that old people say, and I try not to ever say it, right? Because it really ages you. Life is short. Life feels young when you're in your 20s and 30s. You're like, my God, I got a bazillion years ahead of me. When a lot more life is spent and you're looking back, you're going, oh my, what? Like you feel like you're being pushed to the edge of a cliff. Now, I'm into longevity. My goal, I have a longevity council I created on GPT that is literally designed to get me to 125 years old. It's to get me to 100 years old in Walter Longo's youthfulness stage, where I'm still summiting mountains. I'm going to work on skin and all the other things so that I don't look like a corpse at 100, right? Um, right? Take time to laugh. And but it's like I think I think that like when you realize life is really limited, now it goes even beyond me doing a really good job with a calendar. It goes into having the right environment that can shift you from off to on and then on to off, where there's zero gray area, that where you are never partially off when you're scheduled to be on, and never partially on when you're scheduled to be off. The better someone can get at building a fortress around the time boxes, what happens is the efficiency goes up so that you can go in there and surge and really build things. Like I am building $1 billion company right now. I've run the numbers on it that we anticipate within 3 years we could have $1 billion valuation. There is a path to that based on not exaggerated numbers. My mind is blown that we're at that point right now, that this is very likely. Now, somebody will probably try to buy us before then, and my goal is to stave them off and hold it as long as I can. But the only way I get there is that I need to be able to, I need a space for me to exist it's creating no drag, no chaos. It's not slowing me down at all. I am an elite athlete in that space, and every single one of those days has to matter. Or
Mm.
else, when I'm scheduled to be with my family, it just doesn't happen, man. They're looking at me in the eyes, and I'm at the table, and they're like, he's not even here. Where is he? Well, I wasn't elite during the day, so now I have to carry all that mindset into my house. I do not want my work mindset to go into my house. When I walk into the house, I set my intention. I walk barefooted into my studio, right? I walk into that door. When I walk through the threshold of that door, my mind is saying, who do I need to be for my wife, for my kids? I want to be playful. I want to be fun. I don't want to walk in there with distress. There is a hard line between on and off, right? And I'm obsessed with that. And that's what I like to teach people as well.
Yeah, how can you set your environment up to be like that? Like one thing I say, like people are fascinated with the idea that I only work 2 to 3 hours a day. And they're like, how is that
Mm-hmm.
possible? I go, because when I'm on, I'm 100% on and I do the things, I don't allow distraction, I don't do any of those stuff, and I just execute on the things, right? And so
Yeah.
obviously in
Mhm.
seasons I work more than that. Yes, I get it. I put a little asterisk next to
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours a day. But like but when I'm not building the next thing or focusing on the next thing, it's 2 to 3 hours, and I'm just locked in. How do you set up your
Mm-hmm.
environment to so you can be that person when you walk through the door of your house, like you said, barefoot a couple steps away? How can you make sure that you're able to turn it on and off?
Well, I think one of the things is, and I know we want these to be ebb and flow conversations, and but you set me up so good to just talk about, like, I have something written down that I just really wanted to kind of like just lean into the camera here and just say to your audience, because I think it matters so much. And thank you for that, because this is where it's at, right? How do I is there a science behind this? Well, I think there is a science behind this. Daniel H. Pink, in the book When, I've recommended it for years now to people. It's the scientific secrets of perfect timing. He talks about everyone is either a lark, an owl, or a third bird. And he talks about it depends on the midpoint of your sleep. So you can take a test to figure out which one you are. I'm a lark. A lark wakes up. He talks about three forces inside the book. He talks about willpower, discipline, and habits. Willpower is biological, physiological, right? It is, if you get good sleep when you wake up in the morning, your willpower meter is at the highest level. So as you go towards lunchtime, it starts to drop. If you have a good lunch and maybe even a nap, he advocates for, the meter will go all the way almost back up to morning levels. And then at 5 o'clock, it's dropped, it's tanked all the way off. Most people get in the biggest trouble of their life at nighttime because there's just no willpower left, right? Probably half the affairs happening in the world happen at nighttime. They don't happen in the morning when you're vigilant. I'm going to eat good. I'm going to be a good father and husband, but at nighttime, it's like, I'm going to eat bad. I don't care about being a good man. It all just starts to go down, right? So what he says is willpower is affected by stimulus, by temptation. The more temptation you're exposed to, the more beating you take, and the willpower goes down, right? So that's why if you're at home and you got the TV on, they used to say, and there's ads for fast food on there, you're like, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna eat healthy. And then all these ads, by the time lunch comes around, you're like, I'm just gonna eat whatever, I don't care, right? Your willpower is low. He says you got to use willpower. Now, discipline is an emotional thing, right? That's a mental thing. And discipline requires willpower. And he says what you use willpower and discipline to establish habits. Once habits are in place, watch, this is so cool. Once habits are in place, now I don't have to try. See, where people are struggling is they're not at the habit level yet. They're waking up every day, they have no routines, everything is different every day, right? No control, no focus. That is a horrible way to live. You will be tired all the time. You will just feel hopeless all the time. But when you get to the place where you are now in flow, you've used the catalyst of willpower and discipline to establish habits. Now what happens is you your efficiency goes up now, right? And you are in that state where you're not, what do they call it? Decision fatigue. Um, the goal is when you're trying to establish a life where you don't have to make decisions, very few decisions. Somebody said to me one time, when you go to school as a kid, public school, if you go to public school, if you're homeschooled, it's a little different. Matter of fact, if you're homeschooled, it might be exactly what I'm about to say. But they don't take you in there and go, welcome to XYZ school. We're glad you're here. Here are 8 textbooks. The bell's going to ring. You can study any of those at any time you want to. No, you're going to go, bell's going to ring at 8:15, and you're going to go to science. And then at 8:50, it's gonna ring again, and you're gonna go to English. And your mind likes that because it can rest into knowing when you're gonna do these things. And it compartmentalizes thing into those blocks. That's why time blocking is such a big deal. So what I always tell to people is A lot of times you're not failing because you're a weak person. You don't have discipline. You're just not using willpower, which is limited, and discipline, which is limited, to establish the type of life that is designed, that is engineered and designed for you to win. You want to create a life that makes it easy for you to win, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to be surrounded by triggers. Like inside my studio right now, I keep it clean. Here's what I do every day. I sweep the floors every day. So I would make a very good Buddhist, right? I Zen. I got a little Zen garden. I rake the little thing on it sometimes, right? I actually just gave it to my grandson yesterday. He's like, "Oh, Pops, I'll take that." But I got sick of it, right? I've done it enough right now. I get it, right? But I sweep the floors once a week. I get on my hands and knees. I can hire somebody to do it. I get on my hands and knees with a warm water and a towel, and I just wash over the floors and I let them dry. I'm OCD, so when everything is clean, I just feel better. Now, not everybody is, but everybody will recognize it's in the subconscious. You might not recognize it, but it's happening. A drag that's on your life every time there's something stacked in the space that doesn't belong there, right?
Yep.
It's just taxing your mind. It's like a computer that's too many windows open. Just starts lagging. And so we want to eliminate the lag by creating a fortress. And this is what I say, and I'll come back to you. In real estate, when I first did this, I created a prospecting fortress. Some of my real estate background. That's my first success in business was in real estate. I prospected. We were the group that invented double headset prospecting, cold call prospecting. I had one on this phone, one on my left ear that was muted, one on my right ear that was unmuted. On the muted one, I had Polk data. We didn't even have dialer systems. I printed out every house in the area. I eliminated the neighborhoods I didn't want to sell in, too far away, didn't want to have to drive all the way out there to list them. And I had the highest margins, places where I wanted to list. And then I was calling, hanging up because only 40% of the people were home all the time. And then I would, on the other unmuted one, I would call back, "Did you just hang up on me?" "Oh, no, Mrs. Smith." I was like, "Oh, Mrs. Smith, I'm sorry. We got disconnected. This is Chuck with Remax. I was calling to see, when do you plan on moving?" "What? Who told you to call me?" I would go right through my scripts. Next. I made 40 contacts an hour, 160 contacts in a 4-hour block. I would sweat. I stood up. Inside of there, I had all of my goals on there, my affirmations, my scripts, my objection handlers. There was a stop sign. Now, in my Remax office, I actually built a closet in there. I had a contractor come in, got it approved by my broker. Yeah, sure. It was just a little closet, and it had this cheap door on it, and I had a stop sign on it that said, "Stop, prospecting in progress." My assistant was like, nobody gets in there. Agents would complain about me. "Chuck's not a team player. He's not part of the Remax family. He doesn't hang out with us. He doesn't stay in the meetings long. He doesn't eat the donuts. He doesn't drink coffee with us. He's real selfish and self-centered." And I just would say, I've got a family outside of here. I was like the associate pastor of my church at the time. Yep. I was working every Thursday volunteering at my church for leadership. I was speaking every weekend somewhere. I was like, "You guys, I get 4 days a week to do real estate. Most realtors are 7 days a week." And so the idea was I created a fortress. And I hired an assistant, was from New Jersey and Virginia. I had clients that were just like, "We hate her." They didn't like her accent. They didn't like how straightforward she was. She made people cry. But man, of course, I softened her up a little bit. We fixed it. But she was designed to make sure that I am in there for my 4 hours a day. Because if I did that, my numbers were so meticulous. If I did 4 hours if I did 160 contacts a day, I did 160 closings a year.
Wow.
It was a numbers game.
Yeah.
So I built a fortress. And that's what I tell to people. Like, you need a fortress that is on level with the kind of thing you're trying to build, right? Where everything is there that should be there and nothing is there that shouldn't be there,
That's incredible.
Sorry,
and I love that, and really when you kind of break this down, right? Like, it's about what works best for you. Like the first step is what's going to work best for you. I would not be on the floor scrubbing the floor once a week. That doesn't work for me. I'm ADHD. So if I take something that I need to do and I put it in a drawer, I forget about it. And it's out of my mind, right? So it just doesn't get done. And so like I have to set myself up properly. Now, post my event, I don't know if you know this.
Nice.
I hurt my Achilles post event and I've been limping
No.
around ever since, to the point where it was so bad that like I was like, I've been wanting to clean my office to clear off my event so I could focus on the next thing. And I couldn't. So I was freaking out. And so not productive whatsoever for weeks. And it's one of those things where I was like, okay, let me really, finally I was able to do it. Now we're moving forward. Right. And so it is
Yeah.
so true. If your environment is not right, you are not going to execute on the things that you need to execute on. Like, and you just have to stay fully focused on that. I mean, you're talking however many years ago you were doing this in real estate. Where did you pick this up from? Because you've now been doing this for decades.
And wow, Justin, the power of Growth Now summits, these kinds of things that you do, when people say one idea can change your life, that is the biggest understatement I've ever heard in my life. Because Tom Ferry, Tom Ferry did a life planning session. It's the first time I ever heard about life planning. I sat there and he had a 1 hour session, I guess. I sat there writing notes on my yellow notepad. And I got done and I was like, I'm doing this the rest of my life. And I started working off a life plan. And that became the beginning layer, right? Like, for instance, the more I talk about environment with my company, uSpace, the more I talk about it, because this whole thing of environment is kind of going somewhere, right? That will benefit people even more than just knowing the science of it. Like, we built a tool for this, right? But the more I tell it, the more layers are built around it. But all it takes is one idea. People are like, oh man, I was there for 3 days and I heard a lot of good things. Well, hold on a minute. There had to be one idea that if you actually do it, it shifts you. And it's like Ty Lopez said years ago. I don't read books for necessarily the subject. I don't read books necessarily for the subject I'm reading in the book. I read books to stay in a flow of intelligence.
Mm.
And what he meant by that is like, once ideas are triggered, if I stay in a flow of intelligence, I'm just going to keep getting more intelligent with the one or two things I'm locking in every 6 months or every year. And it's like, you put 10 years, what's that saying? Most people grossly overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year. They set these goals they're never going to reach, but then they underestimate what they can achieve in 5. So it's the idea of growth. It's like you just have no idea. Just don't get nervous. Take the one idea from the conference and do it. And now you can add a layer. Now you're an expert at that. And you add a layer, and now you're going to give it your flavor, and you become the teacher of it. And as you teach it, you learn it more. Now all of a sudden a new idea is coming out. It's like pushing against the benchmark line until you actually start to go up to the trend line.
Yeah.
It's internalizing things.
It's so true. And I love that thing from Ty Lopez, because I think about, like, all of my entrepreneur friends are like, did you read this book? I'm like, no. And it's like, it's all the business books. Like, how do I do this better? And I'm like, I read biographies. And they're like, well, what are you gleaming from that other than hearing a story? Right. So I always point out the idea. I read Bob Iger's book. And so he just retired as the CEO of Disney. And I read the book, and it's, the story of his growth through the company and all the things.
Yeah.
My big takeaway was this. He was, and it's fascinating. You'll love this. So he was second in command under a guy who was retiring from Disney, and that guy left on bad terms. Mm-hmm. And so he was like, I'm not going to get this role because they tie me to him. How can I stand out and be different? And so when he went through the interview process, he goes, I focused on 3 things that I can fix in Disney. There was a lot more that needed to be fixed, but what are the 3 things that'll move the needle the most? Right. And that's how he won the CEO battle, because he said, hey, there's these 3 things that need to be fixed. If that fixes, everything else under it gets fixed. And so now I took that and I put that into my business, and I said, what are the 3 things I can focus on right now to move the needle the most, where I need it moved the most? And then introduced that to my mastermind when we met up in one of our meetups, and it changes the game. So there's a lesson that I learned from reading a biography, just because I was looking for that one thing. So what's the one thing? So this leads to a question to you.
Okay, yeah.
What's the one thing that people can learn from watching you over the last 5 years that they can put into their life that'll move the needle for them?
I think it's what we're talking about right now. Sometimes I just said to an audience last week, I said, I'm sorry to all the people that are close to me. When you ask me what I'm doing, I complain to you about what I have on my schedule. I'm an NLP practitioner, and I need to reframe that. I'm just publicly for accountability. I want to be the guy that I don't need to like, is it some weird insecurity that I got to be like, I'm working so hard. My God, feel bad for me. Don't get mad at me if I'm telling you no. I just need you to know that I'm a slave. That's really the wrong, that's a lie. Because again, I do make time for the things that really matter. And I should not have to apologize for making room for my family. Andy Stanley said, I do for one what I wish I could do for many.
Mm.
That philosophy of I can't save the whole world, right? But then you go to like Schindler's List, he who saves one soul saves the whole world entire. It's make the difference where you can and stop getting nervous about like insecurities and needs of just like, so what can they learn from watching me? They can learn, and I'll be honest with you, I think I have an ego. I have a need to be wanted and appreciated and celebrated. I'm just being honest, right? I love it.
That's
We all,
human nature.
I'm sorry, right? I hate that about myself sometimes, but man, when I do a good job and people are like, Chuck's the man, I'm like, thank you. That's why I do it for other people. I think it's a great gift. But I can say this, like, if you're going to watch me, you're going to know that I get lonely sometimes because I just can only make so much time for lots of people. So it's like that hurts me sometimes. But at the end of life, I really believe I lived my purpose. When you started the conversation, 5 years, where did you go? If I didn't know that this was like God's calling for my life right now, I'm building the ultimate tool that goes to all the philosophy I just gave you. I built something that can actually help people live like this. And I get like, I could get tears when I think about the idea of how much I hurt for people when they're all swerving all over the place and they never are able. Our slogan for our company is everyone deserves undistracted space to build the life they want. The
Mm.
U for uSpace, right? It's not Y-O-U, uSpace. It stands for, people don't realize this. People are like, is it up pace, up use? I'm like, undistracted space. I want everyone to create these contrasts between on and off. And I'll say this, and I'll come back to you. An Olympic sprinter, and you're one of your best friends is Coach Cav. That guy's a legend, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
holy crap. Like honestly, I feel like when I'm around him, sometimes I'm his friend, but I want to ask for his autograph. Like I've never asked for it, but I feel like I want to ask him,
He doesn't need that with his ego.
I know.
Don't ask him.
He knows he's powerful. But you take an Olympic sprinter. They don't compete all day. I did some research on this just a couple of weeks ago for another talk. Listen to this. They train for moments, they prepare for bursts, they peak on demand. To win a gold medal in the 100 meters, they might run 3 or 4 races over a couple of days, and each race is 10 seconds long.
Yep.
That means that their entire Olympic moment is around 30 to 40 seconds of total output. Meanwhile, most entrepreneurs are trying to peak perform intensely for 12 hours a day. And I'm saying, no, bullcrap. You don't need to do that. In fact, my goal, if I'm out to change the world, is to get everyone working 40 hours to do it in 10, to get everybody working 80 hours to do it in 20. And literally the science of this works if we can create the right environment, which is what we've built. We have built, if I can say it.
I was gonna say, look, we've been talking about around it for 35 minutes. The people are listening. They're like, "What did you build, Chuck?" So what is this?
Well, I want to say, Justin, first of all, out loud, you're our very first affiliate partner, and I saved that for you. I saved that for you because of how much you have encouraged me throughout the whole process. For 5 years, you didn't say, my God, Chuck, where'd you even go? Are you even my friend anymore? You just kept encouraging me. You could see that I was in a cave somewhere just trying to make something happen, and it made such a difference in my life, and I appreciate it so much. Not only that, another reason is your audience. truly my people. I love your people so much. And you know, when I'm coming to your conferences, I'm not there trying to pick up coaching clients or like I'm there to support you. I'm there to help you. I mean, I'm not even taking clients, right? So it's not like I'm there trying to fish off of you. A lot of people do that, right?
Yeah.
I'm there to support. So it's like I just couldn't wait to share this like with your audience. So what we ended up doing was I had this idea, like, well, one, I'll just make it real quick. So we've all okay, when I had my low income apartment when I was in my 20s and I was in insurance sales, I remember I was like, I need to have a Franklin Covey planner. I got to have a signing pen. I got to have the best suit I can get. And then I was like, I need a desk. And we had a 3-bedroom apartment, and I went and bought this desk from a Dungeons and Dragons dealer, right? And I mean, there's cobwebs in there. It was the coolest, creepiest place I've ever been in my life. And the desk weighed like 1,000 pounds. We get it up into the apartment, hurt like a couple of big beast men's backs, and we got it in there. That became my first place where it was like, nobody goes around this desk but me. This is where I'm going to make us wealthy. This is where I'm going to build dreams. This is where I'm going to have it, right? And then over the years, you know, working in the house, I mean, the problem is you can smell dinner when it's happening. You can hear the kids when they're screaming. No matter where you are, no matter what kind of sound you put on in the background, I'm a concentrate kind of guy. So like if there's noises, I can sit there for 20 minutes. Like I can't get my thoughts going. Oh my God, I can't write the first line. I need a place where I can turn on Baroque music in the middle of summer, climate controlled, everything is clean. I need to be able to walk in there and it's just like, come and make it happen, right? So I ended up partnering with one of my clients. We built our first units, remote workspaces delivered on a steel frame. Uh, we take care of everything. You don't do anything, right? We take care of everything. Of course, you got to call a contractor to get the pad put in and the electric put in. We ship these. We install them. So our first unit that we delivered to my house, I just started working out of it. Started going, what does this feel like? And I was like, man, it's so cool walking up here barefooted. And I was like, we need more lights. It needs to be a better technology. It's automated, but not fully automated. What else could we do? Oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had this steel frame window just coming out the front of it? Let's do something that is only seen in rendering, something that we're actually building. So I ended up partnering with the top architect, Mark Bottoni, in Los Angeles. I got my hands on the best engineers. I'm like, we're just building a box, but I want it to be the greatest, most luxurious box we could possibly build. I want something nobody can go to Lowe's to build it. I want to negotiate with suppliers for materials that you can't buy unless you have a large contract. And we've got skyscraper grade. I mean, like just the siding on our units it's like $11,000 a unit. Somebody goes, well, my God, you could do cheaper stuff. Yeah, we could. But when you see it come into your yard, it's like not all paint is the same on a Ferrari or on a car. There's something about the red on a Ferrari, that's up to a red level that you just can't get on a cheaper car, right? And so everything in it. So we ended up innovating, and now we've just released what we call the Solo 10, and it has a touch screen, full color. You can see videos playing in the background on it. You can voice command it. Hey, lower the blinds by 20%, or whatever. HVAC, it's got 6 full color cans in the ceiling. It's got multiple LED, full color LED, where you can do scenes and you can do light shows for people on your patio. And it's got commercial grade everything. Again, the window sticks out 1 foot out the front. It makes it like 16 inches wide. You could put pillows in there and take a nap in the windowsill. I mean, I could just go on and on. It is a freaking masterpiece. And, it's in the high 40s to buy one. But I can tell you this, you'll never be able to build this with your contractor. You literally can't build it with your contractor, and you'll never come close to being able to build it for the price that we're offering it. And one more thing, if you go to our financing partner on the website, you can get financing as low as like $435 a month. Wow. And $435 a month. And here's what I would end with on this. This is a pitch, and I always feel uncomfortable with pitches, right?
Don't. And I'm going to pitch after you.
Justin, I just pitched at Watson Powers. Steve Powers has been on your podcast. He is a juggernaut in the real estate space, right? And Steve sends a message back and he says this. He goes, after listening to the talk, he goes like this. He goes, how much money he sends this out to his audience. How much money do you want to make this year? He goes, 500,000? That's a great amount of money. But when you walk into your current work environment, does it look like the kind of environment of someone making 500,000 a year would spend 8 hours a day in? And it's like, that's a powerful question. When you think about, and then of course, you know, Section 179, you can depreciate the whole thing depending on what your tax bracket is. You can get like 12 grand back in money you'd have to give to the government anyway. So boom, there's 20% of the cost of the unit. You write off your interest. You know, it increases property value. If you want to leave it with your house, you get your money back there. If you want to sell it, it's luxury. This one I have right now is a fraction of the new one, the one I'm in. And it's brand spanking new. I don't need to replace anything. If I bought this from the company, I'd have no complaints right now, 5 years in. So you could sell it or you could take it with you, right? We have relationships with installers of ADUs nationwide. So you want to move, we have an SOP for it. They'll just show up, you'll pay them a price, and they'll take it to your new place, right? So I could go on, but yeah, man, I am so proud of what we've done, Justin. Here's what we anticipate. And by the way, in the beginning, all of our early units, a lot of our early units, we're sending a television crew, drone operators. We're going to tell the stories, like what are you doing inside of this? That's going to give visibility to people's dreams and goals and companies that they've built. And so we're just going to tell the story of our people. We're going to, on the site, it'll say, so many people have written novels in here. So many people have launched a company in here. All the things, right? That's what we're most excited about, is building this community of juggernauts that are just like doing great things in there. So
Yeah,
I feel proud, man.
look, and like here's the thing, right? When we talk about price of anything, it's like, is there a return on your investment?
Yeah.
And with uSpace, there is. And I'm thinking, so by the way, you're gonna say, hey Justin, did you buy one? I haven't, and I'll tell you why. Because I can't. I rent my house. I can't do the thing. I can't put it in the backyard, but I want one. I want one really bad. It's funny because, you know, Lauren and I have looked at houses for years. We can't find the perfect house and blah, blah, blah. And one of the conversations was, okay, this doesn't fit us, but we could put a uSpace in the backyard and then it would fit us, right? Because I can then go work. And I'll tell you the most annoying thing when it comes to podcasting inside of your house. I have to tell everybody to be quiet. So I then, if
everybody shut up.
Yeah.
Shut the frick up. Shut the dog up.
not only do I get mad if they make noise, but on the flip side of that, I feel bad because then they got to tiptoe by my office door because they have to go in the kitchen and do this and that and the other thing.
Family meeting, everybody, I'm so sorry I acted like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like actually yesterday, Aiden was coming home from track practice while I was doing an interview. So right before I had to text him, like, I'm doing an interview. Don't make any noise when you come in. And so it's, you know, all these things. And so it sets you up perfectly, not only from a standpoint of, hey, I can be super productive, but you're also not annoying your family by telling them to shut up while you're trying to focus in your house, right? You're doing all these things. And then I think the most important piece is something you said earlier during this conversation, which was it allows me to be a better husband, a better father, a better grandfather.
Yes.
And take it a step further. Shout out to Heaven. You know, all of her cows and her animals. You get to be a better person to those cows and goats. And dude, she comes up in my scroll all the time. I love seeing her Instagram. It's the best.
Wait till you see what she did this morning before the podcast. I even said to her, I was like, I got a podcast interview in like 20 minutes. She was up here. She brought her horse over here and you'll see it on her Instagram right now. She's got one of her horse waffles is inside the studio. She brought waffles inside the studio. So
unbelievable. Yeah, it is. It's so good. I needed to shout it out. I was like, how am I going to fit this in while we're having this conversation?
She's going to love you forever. She already loves you anyway. She loves you. She's like, I love Justin Schenck, Dad. I cannot describe how much I love him.
Dude, what's funny is I remember coming to your house a number of years ago, and we were sitting in the living room, and Heaven was there, and she's just like, she's like, this is so weird. I feel like I'm sitting in on one of your podcast episodes, like just hearing you talk right now. It's the best, dude. But honestly, what you're building and what I love and why it fits so well with who you are a man who champions people to go after their dreams. You are a
Yes.
person who, not only from a standpoint of just being a cheerleader, and people know my five, I don't need to get into it, but to the next step of when you're coaching these individuals, you've helped people build nine-figure businesses,
Yes.
and now you're giving them the environment to do it. And I think it's
Mhm.
the most beautiful, cohesive thing you could have ever done, man. And kudos to
Mhm.
you for finally
Thank
launching
you.
and getting it out into the world. And I'm excited to see all these stories and to see all the lives
Thanks.
that change and to do all those things, dude. So congratulations to you.
I mean, I feel so emotional right now. I didn't expect that, you know. I mean, thank you. Um, I always tell people one of the greatest things you can do in life is celebrate somebody in a win. Like really celebrate somebody in a win. You make sure they know, like, wow, man, good job. People just sit there with nobody cheering. I go to graduations and I scream. I scream so loud, everyone turns around like, shut him up, man. It's so obnoxious. I'm like, I didn't scream for you. Sorry, you don't, sorry, you suck as a family. But my friend knows. I just did it on last week, man. Graduated law school. I'm like, man, Andrew, let's go. You know, it was just like I screamed so loud, I thought I was going to never be able to talk again. And thank you for that. It means a lot. And yes, I can't wait. I know and by the way, all my clients are my early customers. Caleb Brown, he's got a company now valued at $4 billion. I first started working with him 7 years ago. They were just in debt. There was no real value happening there. It's actually beyond $4 billion. He owns 20 some percent of the company. I'm like, got to have a call where I just said, hey, you do know you're a billionaire right now with a B, and I've got a video of him when he was at my house. We'll use it for marketing. He did one of the biggest deals in the history of his company when he said, hey, can I just go up in your studio and just work up there for a couple hours when he's in town? I said, yeah, go for it. Put together a deal that actually has turned into probably worth $1 billion. It was part of his Chick-fil-A relationship.
Wow.
And so, yeah, man, I mean, it's thank you. Thank you. And what I would say is, please, to everyone, you know how affiliate works. I want there's several things. One, I want to make sure that everyone in your audience is like, I can look in there in the portal and just see all of Justin's people, right? So if they use your link, just make sure you don't just go onto our website and type it in. Go into Justin's link and you'll put it all over the place. Make sure they use that as affiliate. And if you're interested, because lots of people in this audience have influence, you're interested in becoming an affiliate, I've got something set up with Justin as well, where Justin will become your parent, and everybody needs a good parent, right? like we said that Ethan, Ethan, right? Isn't that his
Yeah.
name?
Mhm.
Yeah, I told Ethan, I said, Justin's like, like it looks like your dad, and you said I'm not old enough to be his dad.
Yeah, it's I've said to because we've had some younger people and still in their 20s in the mastermind. And I'm like, dude, when you hang out with me, is it like do you look at me like I'm an old man? Like, because I think about because Ethan's only 23, even though he's built this incredible business and
I
has a
know.
kid and married. I think about when I was his age, somebody who's 41, which I am
Oh
now. I
yeah.
go, that's old. It's old.
Oh yeah, it's over the
I don't
hill.
feel like I thought 41 was. It's just wild. Yeah, but it's just unbelievable, man. And you're in such a great place. And please go check out uSpace. You can click my link. You can go to the website. You can do whatever, but
Mhm.
check it out, man, because this is going to be game changing for so many people,
Yeah.
and I'm excited about it. But I want to ask you a question that I'm sure I
Okay.
I definitely have asked you before,
Mhm.
but I always love asking it again when people come back on the show, and it's been 5 years, so it's always going to be different. But it's a two-part question. First part is what is your definition of success, and the second part is what are three things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself?
I would say my definition of success, and I mean, it's probably so cliche. Everybody likes to say it because they want to feel good. It is in me. I'm not even going to take credit. I believe it's endowed to me from my maker. There is something inside of me. My family tells me all the time, Chuck, you're a good man. Like you truly care about people. Nothing makes me more happy than contributing to the success of other people. You get, if I only have 5 minutes with you, I am going to lift you to the highest level and break you through. I'm going to care about it to the point that I'm sweating. I care, man. So it's like that my definition of success is me continuing, like never getting to the point that I have so much wealth that I just start to tap out of everything and not care about people. I just want to keep caring till the day I die. I want to keep never retire from like breaking people through, because there's people that have broken me through, and it's like, where would I be without them? You know.
Yeah.
Now, three things I do to ensure that. I would say, um, I would say that one is, and it's going to sound counterintuitive, I have to get rid of all insecurities and all nervousness, as I said early on. And I have to know that there's purpose. That purpose is behind what I'm doing right now. So that when I say no to humans that I could be hanging out with, I know that I've basically said to them, I'm sorry. I'm going to go build something. Trust me. This is going to make a difference. And so it's like, I think finding the calm in that. 10 years ago, I wasn't calm enough to be able to do that. So I think that's it. And I think, did I give you two so far?
No, just one.
Did I just give you one?
Yeah.
So I would say, so one is overcoming the insecurity that causes me to not focus on the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, right? And I would say the other thing is, truly, is having a space, and not just a space like a uSpace unit in my backyard. When I travel, I'm very careful. If I'm feeling the energy inside my hotel room, fine. If I need to go to a common area in the hotel or the rooftop, fine. If I've got to use headphones, with EMF, defraggers or whatever those things are called, I've got those on taped on everything. So it's like being very conscious of my zone. If I need to go to a co-working space, whatever I've got to do, I'm very careful to make sure that I'm primed and ready for the day, because every day counts, right? And I'd say the other thing I do to ensure that is I focus on my family. What you're doing outside of work matters just as much as your work. If you don't do that well, if you're, it's the other side of it, the other side of the coin. If you're not completely off when you're off, then what happens is Monday rolls around. You have no willpower. You're already distracted and you're dragging the pain from last week. I like to see myself like this high level machine that needs lots of attention in order for it to run well. And so I play really hard. I make every second count, jump on the e-bike, ride down a trail, go run, go hang out with the family, go on a hike, whatever it might be. I'm making sure that I'm making it count outside of work.
I love it, dude. I love it. So before I get to the final question that I'm going to ask you, we talked about uSpace. Click the link in the bio. You will check it out. Go explore. Go build your unit. Go do all the
Mhm.
fun stuff. But most important, man, where can people find you? Get more of your energy, all that good stuff.
I think right now, I mean, just head on to social media at Chuck Balsamo. I'm not selling anything. I mean, I use space, but yeah, just go on to social media and just interact with me there. I don't talk enough, but please friend me and we'll inbox and we'll say hello and connect, and then I'll figure that out. I know I need to become more visible in the coming months and years. I have stage fright again. It's really weird. I just from being so quiet, I'm just like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. So
I promise you that you can. I like this
thank you.
interview proves that you
Thank
can
you.
continue to do this. And honestly, man, like the one thing I'll say to you, and we just had our mastermind call on Wednesday this week.
Hmm.
And I said to Lisa, I go, Chuck's still talking about your story. Lisa, who lost the 200 pounds. And she goes, we've actually talked a couple times since then. So you are
Yeah.
somebody on social media that will converse, who will build those relationships. And to me, that's more valuable than a post. That's more
Yeah.
valuable than anything else. Not to hold your feet to the fire. You don't have to reply to everybody if you can't. But
Yeah.
with that being said, that's who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And it's just unbelievable, man. So as you know, you've done it 5 times already. So I'm gonna change the question a little bit. I usually say in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth? But I'm going to ask you in the last 5 years, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
I would say, man, I've had a couple of okay, I would say this. And again, this is going to make me sound old. Emily and I both had a couple of health fears. Uh, Emily had a really bad one where we literally thought her life was being cut short. The doctors were like, it was a cardio oriented thing. And man, I remember just crying every day. I mean, it broke me. When you meet people, you just don't know what they're going through, man.
No.
All the tension that's out there in this world, you just don't know. Every single person's got something, man. And that gives you empathy when you realize that. That's why we ended up getting our condo at Virginia Beach, because I just said, I'm not just going to forward that dream. I've always had a dream of her waking up every day and being able to run on the beach. I was like, I'm giving it to her right now. And it's the first time I've ever surprised her with something. Walked into the unit and was like, had an edible arrangement sitting there. She's like, "Are you kidding?" Like, I've never been that guy who's gonna buy my wife a car.
Yeah.
It was like I knew she wouldn't make the decision. And I had a friend of mine just say, make the decision. Sometimes in life, you just got to make a decision for the good of somebody else. And we did it. So I think it would be the moment of growth came from Gary Vee says, wake up every day and kind of like visualize your funeral. So morbid. I just think when you realize that I want to live a long time, but when you realize that like we're all going to die, it's a wild feeling. It's like, I don't know, man. It makes you care about people more. You start to feel the pain that other people are going through. And I think my empathy is going up, not
Mm.
down. And I don't know where that leads. I have to be careful because it could really mess me up. Um, but yeah, I'm feeling it for people right now on a huge level. So I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and so just so everybody is listening, update on Emily. They told her she'd never run a marathon again. She's
Thank
now back
you.
to running marathons. It was great seeing her in
She's run over
Westchester.
70 marathons now.
It's unbelievable.
She went to the doctor. She said, it's more damaging for my cardio health for me to be sitting on the couch and sedentary. He said, I think I agree with you. Start walking and then we'll run again and then we'll get you ready for a marathon. And she's back.
I love it, man. Over 70 marathons is a feat I think, dude, I don't even want to run a block, let alone a marathon 70 times. Like that's just unbelievable. I absolutely love it, man. But Chuck, thank you so much again for coming on and, sharing your wisdom with my audience. But more importantly, dude, your friendship has been absolutely something that I never thought I'd have in my life. From you
Yeah.
slide into my DMs on Twitter to you, officiating our wedding to all the things that you've done, man. I'm so grateful for you and will forever be grateful for you.
That gratitude exercise, something good in your life, go all the way back to the first day that it happened. If I take you out of my life or you take me out of your life, you look at everything that has to be removed, it's a big deal. Like you and I, our friendship has been such a beautiful thing. And I feel exactly the same, Justin. I appreciate you so much, man. You and Lauren, I love your kids. I mean, yeah, it's just been a great journey, man. And the best is yet to come.
Yes. Thanks, brother. Talk soon.
Have a good day.